Time to tell you guys all about a memorable trip that I have taken. And I guess I'm gonna just give a little bit of backstory. This trip I was on a Greyhound bus, and I've taken a couple trips on a Greyhound bus to get upstate to where my boyfriend was at. I took one to first meet him, I took one to come up there the second time, I think. I don't think I took it a third time. But this is about like that first time I was on the Greyhound. So, it's really just a segment from that trip. First off, got on the Greyhound, and it was just a weird kind of trip anyway. Normally on buses, I'm so awkward. I just find a seat somewhere by a window, and I just kind of section myself away from people. And, I got on, I was trying to get used to like everything, and trying to find comfortable positions to sit in, because this was going to be like a 12-hour drive. That is how long it takes for me to get to one part of Michigan, like the lower half of Michigan, to the Upper Peninsula, mainly because of roads. It is the most ridiculous thing in the world. But anyway, I'm on the Greyhound, I'm reading, I finally find this comfortable spot by a window. I'm listening to music, everything of mine is like dying, so eventually I only have a book. So I'm sitting there reading, and as we're going further and further upstate, it starts getting darker outside, of course, because it's getting later. And I know that there are lights that I can turn on, but I'm afraid that I'll end up disturbing someone that's in front of me. I see somebody else with one on, and I can't really see how the light is going wherever, so I'm like, alright, I'll just get it closer and closer until I can't read, and then I'll just like go to sleep or something. So I end up like with the book this close to my face, just inches and inches away, and I'm like, God, I really can't see. And someone like leans over and like click on the light above me, like, you shouldn't strain your eyes like that, it's really bad. And I'm like, oh, thanks, man. And I turn, and this guy is like an exact copy of Dexter from Dexter. Like, glasses, white shirt, facial features, hair, and I'm just sitting there like, oh my god, I shouldn't have taken the bus. It was quite the experience. Like the rest of the bus ride, I was keeping an eye on this guy, like, okay, what is even his deal? And, he was a really nice guy, but it was those kind of nice guys that you're always afraid that it's just gonna turn, like, psycho all of a sudden. And that's all I could think about. But, other than that, the ride was pretty memorable just because it was, like, my first time actually, driving anywhere away from home that far on my own. So it was really cool to see, like, the landscape, around for, like, the first time. There were a lot of stops, and, again, another thing that happened that trip, I actually ended up in, Canada, because on these Greyhound buses, instead of, I think it was after I was coming back home. So, I was coming back home, we ended up going through Canada, and as we're going through, I'm asleep, by the way, while this is happening. There is a random bus check, because during that time there was a whole big thing with like passports and illegal immigrants and stuff. And I'm sleeping, I wake up, and like everyone's off the bus. There's no one else on there but me, except maybe like a couple guys in the back. And I look outside and I see people lined up, and I'm like, what is going on? And this, I think it was a Mountie. I can't remember whether it was a Mountie or like a U.S. Navy, Marine person, whoever is on these border checks, whatever. He just comes on and he looks at me really angry, like, are you a U.S. citizen? And I'm sitting there like, yeah, but I really don't know what's going on, so sure, yeah, totally. And he left me alone, and I was just sitting there like, what even is this bus trip? There was one other odd thing that happened, but it wasn't anything like too great, so I'm not even gonna mention it. But yeah, that was my most memorable trip. Just going upstate and coming downstate for like the first time. I just counted as like one big trip. yeah, I guess your guys' are probably going to be a lot more interesting, since the only really interesting thing about my whole trip was that Dexter thing. I'm going to be reeling about that for my life. Alright, on to the next video. I'm almost caught up.